This video was so crazy. So, so Steve Harvey apologized to the hip hop community after the Family Feud contestants were asked to name the greatest rappers of all time. It was so funny because I think the first guy said, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, it was so crazy. And then one of the women said Tupac, and then Tupac was number two. And then she told the guys, like, you guys are so Gen Z. And it's true. This is a very Gen X list. Um, but it's not a bad list. I don't think Steve had to apologize. These names aren't bad. It's just the orders are kind of different that we never see. Like usually on this list, Jay-Z would be number one. But it's like, it's fine that Jay's number eight. Like Nas isn't on this list. Rakim's not on this list. Big Daddy Kane's not on here. Ice Cube's not on here. Is Ice Cube should always be in that conversation with Nas and Jay-Z for greatest rapper of all time. LL to me is like, LL is probably the most iconic and most underrated rapper ever because I remember I Need a Beat came out in like 1984, I think, 1985. And we still seeing him. He just dropped an album with Q-Tip this year. Like Ty's been around for 40 years. He was the GOAT. He was the blueprint for all these dudes. For Jay-Z, for Tupac. First it was like Curtis Blow as the first solo star, but James Todd Smith took that model and exploded it. And I don't think he gets enough love. But speaking of that, I think I want to give some love to Snoop Dogg. Because usually on these lists, Snoop Dogg is never number one. He's never actually ever in the conversation. But I think it's time we kind of add Snoop in this conversation as one of the greatest rappers of all time. So the first time I heard Snoop was on Deep Cover. And I was like, who's this guy? Because I never heard him before. And then he came back around for The Chronic with Dr. Dre. And I remember when Doggy Style was about to come out, people were saying like, oh my God, it's going to be the nastiest album of all time. I'm not sure where they got that from, but it really wasn't. It was a very musical album. Like it's a Doggy Dog World, What's My Name, Gin and Juice, my one of my personal favorite songs, G's Up, Hoes Down, Ain't No Fun. And I think partly Dre did work on that album, but I think there was a lot of production from Warren G. And one of these days, I want to see a Doggy Style book that goes into everything that went into that album. But Ain't No Fun is interesting because Ain't No Fun in your 20s, like, yeah, that's the jam. It still is. But when you got some gray hairs now, you listen to that song, it's like, oh my God, that's so nasty. Ain't No Fun is a truly nasty song, but it's so good. But G's Up, Hoes Down was probably my second favorite song on that album. So if you got the initial pressings of that album, because I remember I worked at Hot Tracks Music and Video, and that's when we had midnight sales for that for big albums. And Pearl Jam's album, when that Versus came out, the line was Around the Block at Midnight, and the same thing for Doggy Style, just around the block. People wanted that album, but G's Up, Hoes Down. If you didn't get that initial album, it disappeared for later printings because they couldn't clear the sample. Now, luckily, thanks to YouTube and all that stuff, you can hear G's Up and Hoes Down. But yeah, that's when the sampling wars was starting to get a little crazy back then. So then he has Doggy Style, and then after that, we have two America's Most Wanted with Tupac. Pac dies, Death Row implodes, and then he goes to No Limit. I don't know what Snoop Dogg would be without No Limit. Master P taught him about business. Now I'm sure Snoop observed things at Death Row, some good, some bad, but Master P taught him about marketing. Master P just taught him the business. And I don't think we would see Snoop Dogg with Martha Stewart. I don't think we would see Snoop Dogg selling his new gin and juice with Dr. Dre. I don't think we would see Snoop Dogg at the Olympics if it wasn't for Master P. Those No Limit years was very small in the years that he was there, but it's probably the most impactful. So then he leaves Master P, and then he works with the Neptunes on Drop It Like It's Hot, beautiful, just great. That's like peak Neptunes type stuff. And then he makes like songs on his own, like Sexual Eruption, which was like my old ringtone. Like Snoop Dogg. If we go back to the Chronic when he did like Little Ghetto Boy, he can't really write. Like if Snoop wanted to, he could be like Jay and Nas and Pac. Like if he needed to be, he could. Because Snoop was a battle rapper, and he can write. It's just like he doesn't have to. Like he fell into the whole Snoop Dogg persona, and he's kind of wrote with that. Like he's like, well, this is who I am. People like this gangster side of me, this playful gangster side. I'm going to stick to it, and it's worked for him. Like, but it's just amazing, like how he doesn't drop hits. It doesn't even matter if Snoop really doesn't drop hits anymore. Like, he's just a personality at this point. Like, when I saw him at the last Olympics, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And because of that, like, he's back again. And now NBC has all these entertainers being part of the Olympics, which I think is horrible. It's too many. Snoop and Kevin Hart are one thing, but ever having all these other people, I don't think it's a good idea. So who do you think are the top 8 rappers of all time? The thing about this list is it's subjective. Jay-Z doesn't have to be number one. If you want to have Lil Wayne at number one, that's fine. If you want to have Nas at number one, that's fine. If you want to go old school, let's say you want to put like Ecstasy from Houdini. I love Ecstasy from Houdini. Like, if he's number one to you, that's great. Now, if you're telling me like Flo Millie or Sexy Red, she's number one. It's like, no. No. If you want to have Lauryn Hill or Missy or Queen Latifah, Sexy still has time to grow. so I'll give you that. But fine, if you want to put Sexy Red at number one, that's fine. But, if you want to have Drake at number one, like, I think Drake is very underrated. Even if there's beef with Kendrick Lamar, like, you can't deny, like, this dude's longevity. Like, he doesn't go around saying, like, I want to be considered the greatest of all time, but he should be in the conversation, even though he has ghostwriters and all these things. He has the thing that Jay-Z has. He has the qualities that great artists has. He has great ears. When you have great ears, that means you're able, even if you have slumps in your career, you're able to find hits. And Drake, even if he has a slight slump, he's just able to find hits every year. Like, this dude popped up around the Obama administration. Like, I think he popped up before Obama, like 2000, probably early years of Obama, like 2008, 2009, he popped up. And he's still here. Like him, Nicki, Kendrick. Like, that was the last great crop of artists. So give me your top 8 artists of the year. Steve Harvey, man. Listen, man, you don't have to apologize to the hip hop community. Yeah, they didn't have, it was kind of alarming that they had all these X's before they got the Pac, but this is a good list. I would take off Dre. Like, Dre is a great rapper producer. Dre is one of the greatest producers of all time. But Ice Cube, I think, is better than Dre. The rest of them, they're fine. Some people have Eminem at number one. It's good to see 50 Cent on there. Like, 50's good. It's always funny because Biggie is below Pac, and usually they're like Pac or Biggie or Biggie or Pac. No females. I'm surprised that there wasn't a Lauryn Hill or something like that on there, but that's fine. So give me your top 8 favorite hip hop artists of all time.